Would you like to work only 24 hours a week and still fund 100 plus million a year? Well, today's guest is actually doing that. Wally Elibiary is a mortgage broker out of Houston, Texas, and funds an average of 200 million a year while working 24 hours a week. I know it sounds absolutely crazy, but it wasn't always this way for Wally. Wally, back in 2012, was funding just around 40 million, working 60 to 70 hours a week, and thought, man, there's got to be a better way to run my business. Obviously, he spent a bunch of time figuring this out. So in this episode, I'm going to talk about how he manages to take 20 weeks of holidays. Yes, that you heard that right. 20 flipping weeks. I can't even imagine, honestly. How he refers to his business as a 6-lane highway, and he refers out 2 million plus a year in commission to partners. How he created a loan officer concierge service that turns his database into a data bank, and how he markets to 28,000 people a month, even though he only has 4,000 clients. This is such an awesome conversation, and you're going to totally love it. We go deep into this. On the end of this episode, I'm also going to give you an opportunity. If you want to learn from Wally and basically take his playbook and plunk it into your business, at the end of this episode, I'm going to give you a special offer that you can go check out. So before I jump into that, though, I want to give a shout out to our title sponsor, Finmo. Finmo is a Canadian mortgage application, document collection, submission platform designed specifically for Canadian borrowers. It's very easy for borrowers to use. It's got cool features like Lender Spotlight, which has got all the rates and guidelines that you can search 8,000 of them and find the perfect rate and understand the guidelines. It's smart docs. It'll document your client needs based on that way they built. And the brokers that I have known that have played with other platforms or used them that have tested Finmo are like, oh my gosh, where's this been all my life? Check them out at lendesk.com/Finmo and check out this conversation with Wally. Hey, Wally, welcome back to the show.
Hey, Matt, thanks so much for having me. I had so much fun last time. I had to beg my way to get back on your show now.
Yeah, dude, I had such a great conversation with you. So maybe before we jump into some of the questions that I have since we chatted last, maybe give a little background on who you are and where you are.
Yeah, you bet. So I started mortgage in 1999, and then obviously it's 2024. So I've been at this mortgage game for 25 years now. It's you look at like back my last 10 years or so, my career I wrote a book about that recently called 24/7 Mindset. And it helps you understand how I went from 2013 doing $36 million in loans in a year to up to $200 million in loans in a year. And the team has sustained that since. So how do you go from 36 million to 200 million? But I got lost in the process, man. The ego took over, the success took over, started neglecting my family, started neglecting being an absent husband, an absent father. And I really started 2019, 2020, really understanding how to run a business that working smart instead of working hard. And it wasn't until a coach taught me I had to stop doing my best I can do and start doing it the best way it can be done. You have to stop doing the best you can do and start doing it the best way it can be done. So where most loan officers right now go after realtors to try to get a loan, they beg for a loan, they get a commission, go back and beg their realtor. What 24/7 Mindset's about is my last 10 years, I still get that loan, that referral from that realtor. But what's super cool about that is then I refer it to a CPA, I refer it to a financial advisor, I refer it to a family will attorney, refer it to an insurance agent, and then I receive referrals back. So, it's super cool, which we can dig into. I want to make sure your viewers hear that is I refer out to my CPAs, financial advisors, family will attorneys, insurance agent, or realtors over $2 million in commissions in a year. And I wrote the book about 24/7 Mindset that breaks that down. And how do I refer out $2 million in commissions in a year? How do I close $200 million in a year? But how do I stay being a present father? How do I stay being a present husband? How do I take 20 weeks of vacation a year? And, but yeah,
I don't know, Wally, how? Sign me up. Because most mortgage people are not doing that, man. That's crazy. Okay. So I have many questions since you talked about this. You talked about a lot of different things here. So you started out as a 36 million producer, built your business up to 200 million, but you figured out, and this 24/7 mindset, maybe if anybody's listening to this, because when I hear that, I think I work all day, every day, and that's what a lot of people do. But tell me about what you mean by that.
Yeah. So I golf 3-4 times a week. So if you golf 3-4 times a week, and then, how many hours left in the week to work? It's only 24. Well, I take 10 weeks of vacation a year with my family. I take 5 weeks of vacation a year with my wife, and I take 5 weeks a year of vacation as a golf trip. So if anybody knows any awesome golf courses out there that want to invite me to, we can definitely make that happen. But if you're out of the office 20 weeks a year of vacation, how many months are left there to work? Only 7 months a year. So how do you build a mortgage business that you make millions of dollars a year in income on? They only have to work in it 24 hours a week, 7 months a year, 24 hours a week, 7 months a year. It's given me a really blessed life. And when I say blessed, I'm not just talking about financially, but more importantly, I've got an 18-year-old and a 16-year-old at home. I actually get to have dinners with them, spend evenings, spend weekends with them. Instead of banging on doors, open houses, or door knocking apartment complexes for deals. So it's a great way to build a quality business, but also have a quality life.
So I have to ask how do you turn it off? So like, I love this idea. I think this is and it obviously it's not impairing your ability to grow. Like I have this false dichotomy, I think, where it's like, in order to grow, you have to put in 24/7, but like, put in 60, 80 hours a week. You're saying, no, I'm putting in 24 hours a week. I'm taking 20 weeks of holidays and my business is still growing. And even if you're doing the same volume last year as you're doing this year in this market, you're growing because everybody's like the market's way down. So if you're close to that, but how do you turn it off? I guess and maybe that's my, because I like work and I like what I do. So then how do I, how more, is that easy for you? Like that's where I'm struggling.
Well, it's never easy for me, but I don't know if you golf at all, but I don't know too many golfers that can actually golf and have good scores and still focus on work. So when I'm golfing 3-4 times a week, I'm not focused on work. When I'm with my wife and my 2 sons, I'm not focused on work. But there's three components that I've learned to master. And it's also in my book. It's the 3 levels of leadership. 3 levels of leverage. 3 levels of leverage. It's the human leverage. It's the systems leverage. It's the technology leverage. You've got to build a system. That means processes, models, standards. You've got to recruit the humans to be able to run those processes, models, and standards. You've got to build the technologies for those systems to operate off. So when you recruit the right team, and you build them up and you grew them. I built a team. I didn't buy a team. And what I mean by that is most people need a role and they go recruit and hire for that role. I took 6 humans that had 0 mortgage experience at all, taught them the business, taught them what to say, when to say, how to say it in the most efficient way possible. I've got 6 humans in me that are doing $200 million a year in loans. So the ability to build a team on the right systems, models, and technologies makes it so much easier because now, believe it or not, they can do loans better than I can. They can do loans faster than I can. So when I've replaced myself in that role, the business still keeps growing, the business still keeps thriving, but that I am not in the day-to-day, which allows me to be the fun guy. I enjoy working on the business. I enjoy working. There's 2 types of air game and ground game. Air game is being above your business, looking down and working on it. Ground game is being in the trenches, working in your business. 95% of my work time is air game, working on the business of improving the systems, improving the teammates, and improving the systems.
Right. Okay. So I could dive into this process, human, technology, leverage, but so how does your staff not feel like, and maybe this again, it's always about mindset. If you have a limiting belief, like I have a limiting belief, obviously, that I need to work X number of hours to get Y number of output. And you are smashing that belief, like you're in a good way. And now hopefully people listening are like, if you're a mortgage broker, loan officer, you're like, wait a second, like what sorcery is this? What are you talking about? This doesn't sound like even should be possible. Now you have a business where you work 24 hours a week. How does your staff feel about it? So like, if you have people working for you and so like, I guess in my head, I'm like, if I'm working 24 hours a week, my staff's gonna be like, hey, Scott, how come I'm assuming they're working more than 24 hours a week.
Yeah.
And so like, how do you balance and them not feel like, frustrated?
So great question. And remember the key component that I told you earlier. I built a team. I did not buy a team. When someone comes from the outside in and they weren't there with you building the team from scratch and in the trenches with you when you were working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and when they were in it now, they see all the hard work and effort that I put in. So there's not a jealousy there. But what's also pretty neat about it is I'm not a greedy person. So I've got some top salespeople on my team that are making $500,000 a year. Well, these earners are making $500,000 a year and they're my loan officers. They're in their late 20s because they started with me early, right after college, 23, 24 years old. So at the end of the day, they are having their best life ever, most amount of production, most amount of income. So it's not necessarily they care about how
compensating them well. So I'm sure you treat them well. You think about, but you're also compensating them well so that it's like, hey, it's a win. It's a win for them, win for you, because
it's a win-win for them and me, but it's also how the structure. Most mortgage companies are backwards. And what I mean by that is most mortgage companies say, hey, if you don't close a loan, you don't get paid. If you close a loan, you get paid this commission. I built a Team Wally annuity. So the annuity is if you're on the team for more than 3 years, you get 5 basis points off what the whole team does. If you're on the team more than 5 years, you get 10 basis points off what the team does. So it's simple math. If the team is doing $200 million a year at 10 basis points, if you help me build a team from scratch, now you're making a residual income, $200,000 residually from the team. That means everybody's production. So everybody's locked in arms together, helping each other reach the goal.
So, Charlie Munger always talks about the importance of incentives, or he did before he passed away. If you know who that is, and I'm sure you've seen some of his stuff, but and getting the incentives right. And if you get the incentives right, you can create a fantastic business. And it sounds like one of the things that you figured out is this incentive structure in order to create long-term. Because like anything, you can have the great people, and great processes, great technology, but you got people to run it. And if you're constantly churning through people, then your business is going to be very unstable. And I've seen the brokers do that. I've seen mortgage people that they do everything right, but they get that people piece wrong. And that's where everything unravels.
Well, think of it this way. So I pay my loan officers on market basis points. So here in Dallas, Fort Worth, they're 125 basis points for self-source loans. It's like where market basis points are. So for someone to come recruit them away, they would lose that 10 basis points off the team's production. So they lose that $200,000 of residual income from the annuity. So what would you have to pay a loan officer to recruit them away from me? 175, 200 basis points so their income doesn't go down? Good luck recruiting somebody away from me and being able to afford to pay them that. So the annuity is built not only to reward them, but there's a great book that I read called The Golden Handcuffs. And it's the ability to be able to build the incentives where the teammates want to stay with you long term.
Right. It's called The Golden Handcuffs. Okay. I'm going to look
great book.
Okay. So I kind of got off track there, but that's just how my brain works. I get excited about this. Okay. So you basically tell me about the book. What was the idea for the book, and what was been the biggest kind of feedback that you've got from people? We'll talk to the people how they can go get the book after this, but like, what's the biggest like sort of aha that people have got that you've found in interacting with Reddit?
Yeah. Well, all your listeners, I want to offer them a free copy of the ebook, or they can go buy it at Amazon, but they can get a free copy through you, which I'll give you the link for them to download that. But so I started writing the book October of 2022. And, the ability of being able to articulate all 16 chapters and the systems and the models. What's super cool about the book, it's a progressional book. And what I mean by that is it walks you through the last 10 years of my career, but what did I build and how did I build it and who did I build it with to be able to accomplish it step by step by step. So I break down how I got a relation. How did I go from going after realtors that were solo agents to only working with mega agents? Mega agents are agents that do $50 million to $100 million a year in production. And that's all I work with. I don't work with solo agents. How did I turn my database into a data bank? Well, what does that mean? A database is a lump of names, numbers, email addresses, but a data bank is something you can take withdrawals out of. how do I build the client concierge process that has the 7-day call, the 30-day call, the 6-month call, the annual mortgage review, and the mortgage efficiency checkup? How did I learn in 2019 that I had 120 referrals to refer out on a monthly basis to CPAs, financial advisors, family will attorneys, insurance agents, but I didn't know any of those wealth advisors. So I had to go and get in a relationship. Well, how do you get in a relationship with a CPA? How do you get in a relationship with a financial advisor? How do you refer them business? How do you track and receive referrals back for them? And then from there, when you learn that mortgage business, you make millions of dollars in income. How did I grow that wealth to be able to buy real estate? And that I own over 487 rental doors that I've learned to cost segregate and depreciate, which allows me to pay zero in taxes against my multi-million-dollar mortgage income. Then I've got a dedicated chapter of all my mistakes. Every mistake I made. How did I lose $500,000 in this investment? How did I have this bad hire? How did this blow up my face? Because the goal I want everybody to understand is I fail more than I succeed. And I'm just an average person. The only difference is I did not quit. So, so that's 24/7 mindset, the book, which we can kind of break into the academy and the questionnaire and everything else from there if you want.
Okay. Yeah. I'll come to that. So, what I like about what you're talking about is you took what most people do is they go find realtors, chase realtors, and you figured out that I can actually become like the center of a center of influence and hand out a lot of other referrals and get them back in return. A lot of people talk about this, but why does it not work? Like, what's clicked for you? Because I've heard other people say this, and some people have tried this, but I don't think to the level that you've been able to execute on it. So why do you think that is?
Yeah. I mean, I think the biggest difference is people go to a financial advisor, they might refer them a client, and then it stops there. Like, well, he didn't refer me back or she didn't refer me back. Well, you've got to understand what their process is, and you got to implement yourself in their process. So I teach you how to understand what a financial advisor's process is and where the best place to be implemented in their process. For example, a financial advisor, they do an annual financial review, but most loan officers don't understand that 30 days before they do the annual financial review, the financial advisor requests a copy of the client's updated paycheck stubs, W-2s, bank statements, other investment account
that
statements.
Would be a great part in the process for you to also be involved, I would assume, right? So
exactly, right?
Yeah.
So one thing I have my financial advisors do, they request all these documents anyway, so they can do an annual financial review. Well, I taught them to add in there to add in the requesting the mortgage statement from their current mortgage.
Mm-hmm.
So that I take that mortgage statement, I create them a total cost analysis, I put them into my home bot, and then I add them to my sales boomerang. So now they're in my ecosystem and I start targeting them on Facebook. So the bomb video emails start going out. So they get in the ecosystem, but that becomes really successful when you adopt a financial advisor's database. So on a monthly basis, the financial advisor's database receives a video from me and the financial advisor locked in arms, going through and adding value to them. On a monthly basis, they get the home bot with me and the financial advisor. On a weekly basis, they see one of my targeted videos on social. The key, and also on a yearly basis, we do client appreciation events with our financial advisors. We do the same thing for CPAs, financial advisors, family will attorneys. And that's how you end up with a business that, closes $200 million in a year because we have 28,000 households in our database.
And so how would you break down the split of your business? So if you look at that 200 million, you got you call it the 6-lane highway, which I think is a great metaphor. That's probably like a school zone in Dallas, Fort Worth, right? Like you probably saw you're driving your kid to school, 6 lanes in each direction. Like, yeah, I've been down there, man. It's pretty awesome. But, my question was, what percentage would you split that across those different highways?
Yeah. So it's about 40% realtors.
Yeah.
35% database.
Yeah.
And the remaining amounts usually like 25% or so that is wealth partners.
Okay.
So what's super cool about it is that we get so many more referrals. We've got a goal of getting 50% of our business from our data bank. And I think we'll hit that probably like 2025, 2026. We're knocking on the door of it. But not necessarily do we try to have like realtors be irrelevant. I mean, they're an important part of the process. But if I can go get a relationship with a wealth advisor and then get business from that financial advisor, then I become the quarterback of the whole entire process with the realtor.
Right.
There is no more, how do I take so many weeks of vacation? Well, I control my time and I am the quarterback is the MVP on the field. For you to be the MVP on the field, you've got to be able to learn how to generate referrals for your realtors, not just receive referrals from your realtors.
Right. Yeah. You're the, if you're generating the business, then, so what percentage of your business would you say, like how much business, you said you did 2 million in commission that you like other
refer out.
Earned,
yeah. So referrals out to my realtors, my CPAs, my financial advisors, my family will attorneys, and my insurance agents. I hit 2 million in referrals out starting in 2021, and I've kept that up since.
Right. And so how do you track that? Like, just out of curiosity, what's your database you must be using for that? Or
Jungo, Salesforce, and we have a monthly accountability meeting with each wealth advisor. And every October, we sit down with them and say, hey, what do you want to accomplish income-wise and goal-wise for 2024? Okay, it's X. And the last time we talked, your average commission that you get for your service is Y. Okay, great. So I don't like being second place. I only like being first place. For me to be your number one biggest referral partner, how many referrals do I need to refer you on a monthly basis to make you X in commissions that helps you reach your goal? They tell us from there and we track that on a weekly basis and they get a report through our Jungo Salesforce system.
I see. So it makes a lot of sense. So if I was a wealth advisor and you came to me with that, it's a pretty, okay. And if you guys can deliver on it, then, and
you've got nothing to lose.
That's a lock. That's fantastic. So,
well, if you do it that way, they welcome you to do it with their whole database because they want more referrals from you.
Right. Yes.
And that's how you go from a 4,000 person database in 10 years to 28,000 person database.
Right. And so the 24,000 of them are other people's lists that you get to market to.
Correct.
And then pull business. And you will eventually turn that into 50%. You said, or more of your business will come from that because of you said, it's one thing you touched on. You said something about you'll market to them. What's Sales Boomerang? What's that?
So Sales Boomerang is a technology that gives you triggers if they list their house, gets you triggers that if they have their credit pulled by another lender. It gives you triggers if they have a life event, like someone passes away. It gives you triggers that if, like, say they take on more than $25,000 in credit card debt. So those triggers, I go back to the wealth advisor and say, hey, see, Mr. Financial Advisor, we've got John Smith in your database. It looks like we just got triggered that they've taken on more than $25,000 in credit card debt over the last 6 months. What happens next is now their family bills are going up. As their family bills go up, they have less to invest with you. Can you reach out to them, connect them to me, introduce me to them, and allow me to look at if a debt consolidation loans and cash out loans the best option for them, so I can keep their monthly expenses in the budget. So then they're able to invest with you as much in volume as possible.
Right. So that's one example of how Sales Boomerang will find you business.
Yeah.
And
the same thing with, hey, financial advisor. So you've got John Smith that's in your database that's listed their house. Can you reach out and introduce me to them? Because I want to make sure that since I'm a broker, I can get them wholesale interest rates instead of retail interest rates. And the more affordable I make their mortgage, then from there, the less their monthly payment is, the more they have to invest with you.
Right. And so back before you figured this out, how to put people in place and leverage technology, leverage people, leverage process, how many hours were you working?
Oh, dude. I mean, if you rewind back to like 2014, 2015, 80, 90 hours a week.
And so what has being able to do this, how does that affect your family?
Oh man, it's, you're going to get me tear up. This biggest thing is, at a 2013, I had not a rude awakening, but it's a welcomed awakening where I just got off the sales master stage, got this big award. I think I was doing like 45 million back then. And I get off the stage and, I get to the house and we're going to Disneyland as a family vacation. I'm walking out to the front foyer and Alex, my 16-year-old now, he was 5 at the time. We call him Alexander the Great and his brother is Braden the Brave. And then Alex is standing in the front foyer.
That's fantastic, by the way. We're talking about giving them an identity, Sorry, keep going.
No. I'll finish that. And there's a really important point about their identity I want to go back to. But so Alex is standing by the front foyer. I'm getting off my phone as I'm walking out there and I've got my suitcase in my hand. And he goes, "Dad, you're coming with us?" Like, how pathetic is that? The 5-year-old was surprised that his father was coming on a family vacation at Disneyland together.
Right.
I missed more dinners than I ever made. I missed more sporting activities than I ever made. Right. But everybody in the mortgage world was applauding me and telling me how great I was.
Yeah. So like that's fantastic. That's amazing. So basically you're getting put on stage and say, "Hey, look at this guy." And yet the reality is that you are working 80, 90 hours a week, which is.
Yeah. I was killing myself to be a fraud.
Right.
And when you realize like there's a smarter, better way of doing business, which allows you to have a more enjoyable lifestyle, you've just got to learn to think differently.
Right. Okay. So that was talk about the identity piece. You said you were going to talk them about.
Yeah, I learned that. I got great parenting advice when the boys were young, and they said that from the ages of 0 to 7, your kids' identity of themselves is what they think you think they are. So then the ages from 7 to 14 is what their environment thinks they are. 14 to 21 is what they think they are. So I knew the pivotal part is 0 to 7.
Right.
So Alexander the Great was created. Braden the Brave was created every single time with Braden. Braden, you're really brave, man. I believe in you. I look up to you. So it was like accolades. Right. So when I kept on calling them by their names, it was always, "Hey, Braden the Brave, ... Hey, Alexander the Great, ... So it they replayed in their subconscious and they're super duper, just phenomenal teenage men now. One thing I'm experiencing is, we're about to be empty nesters about a year. So I'll be 45 now. So I'll be 46 and we'll have no idea what to do to ourselves as empty nesters, but I've really enjoyed having them around.
Right. That's amazing. That's cool. Okay. So, part of this, you got the book, but then you've got a brokerage, obviously, that's in Dallas, Fort Worth, but you also help other agents in other areas. And so tell me about the academy. We'll put a link for people that are looking to find out more about it, but give me some ideas of what kind of stuff you do in there. Cause it's one thing that I hear this, but like, you're not coaching the way most people coach. Most people are coaching what you touched on, which is 80 hours a week. And we're celebrating the 80-hour work week with 40 million. You're doing 5 times as much volume and you're working like 30%.
Quarter.
Yeah. What you were doing before. So like,
so you got to keep in mind is like, I have no interest of anybody saying, "Wow, that Wally guy's cool." I am 1000% focused on, hey, if that Yahoo Wally can do it, so can I. So I'm not building any of this for fame, accolades, any of that. I'm building this for implementation. So before the book even came out, I released the client concierge process. We had over 600 loan officers sign up for the webinar, and I walked everybody through the 5-step process. The 7-day call after closing, the 30-day call after closing, the 6-month call after closing, the annual mortgage review after closing, the mortgage efficiency checkup after closing. What is the purpose of each call? What is the process of each call? We listen and each call is recording, and then also what technology it takes to perform it. So that created the client concierge system. And then from that system, now loan officers are able to actually stay in relationship with their past clients so they can grow more referrals from their past clients. Now, that identified a problem. The problem that identified was these loan officers, as they got a relationship with their past clients, these clients needed referrals to CPAs, financial advisors, family will attorneys, insurance agents, but the loan officers didn't have those relationships. So I created the 6-lane highway academy where I do coaching on a weekly basis. Most mortgage coaching platforms, they coach you for 30 minutes every 2 weeks, 30 minutes every 2 weeks. And then also on top of that, they usually charge like $9.95 or $14.95 a month. Well, I built the model to where I coach not 30 minutes every 2 weeks. I coach for 90 minutes a week, 90 minutes a week to the group of everybody in the academy, the 6-Lane Highway Academy, 90 minutes a week. And you're getting not only the process of how to get in a relationship with a CPA, financial advisor, family will attorney, insurance, but also what do you say? When do you say? How do you adopt a database? What technologies use? How to identify where their biggest challenges are. And with me teaching loan officers that, it's been super. I mean, we still launched that in January. And what's amazing, Scott, is like we just had a great call every Thursday. It happens Thursday from 2 p.m. Central to 3:30 Central. Last week alone, there's a loan officer on there that he actually just posted a testimonial in our private Facebook group. But a loan officer on there referred 2 referrals to a financial advisor from their past clients. That financial advisor referred him a client back that is one under contract on a $1.4 million deal. Mm-hmm. Loan officer just made a $20,000 commission. Right. By engaging the database, referring out to a financial advisor, and I taught them how to receive referrals back. Another loan officer named James went out there and was able to refer 7 referrals to a CPA and a financial advisor and a family will attorney over a 30-day period. Well, he's already generated $45,000 in commissions back. Success story after success story after success story. The goal of the academy, and the reason why I've made it so affordable, the goal of the academy and the reason why I've made it such on a weekly basis instead of every 2 weeks is the ability to be able to implement. The goal is for each loan officer to implement so we can thrive through 2024. But then also more importantly, that is loan officers, I think, are in a delusional world right now. And the delusion that most loan officers have is they're under this delusion that every client that they close in 2023 with a 7% interest rate, they're able to refinance them in 2024 when they drop. The sleeper in all this is these mortgage servicers. These mortgage servicers that I've spoken to, they are going like gangbusters of staying in relationship with those clients because those clients are going to be going from 7% to 5%, and those mortgage servicers are going to hold on to those clients. Right. So we're thinking as a loan officer, hey, I'm going to have a great 2024, rates are dropping, I'm going to do a ton of refis. If you're not staying in relationship with the client concierge process for your database, those servicers are going to eat your lunch and you're never going to be able to refinance those clients because they can do a loan better, faster, and less expensive than you because they're the current service.
Yeah. So in Canada, the way it works is we have like penalties to break mortgages. And so mortgages typically are 3 5-year terms. And lenders in Canada are very good at retention. They basically, they tell us they don't make a lot of money on the first mortgage term. We make money on the next term. And so and if you want to be successful, you have to think about that. Otherwise, the one thing I've often said is that mortgage brokers think that they're renting clients to the lenders and lenders think they're buying clients. Lenders like, I bought this client from you. Mortgage brokers like, no, I'm just renting them to you. And it's like, no, you got to understand the dynamic there. And you're right. If you don't get good at this, they will, and they'll eat your lunch for sure.
They'll eat your lunch, but I mean, I don't know how it works in Canada, but here in the US, man, these servicers, I mean, I'm a broker here in Dallas and I've got some super aggressive rates, some of the lowest rates here in the whole entire Metroplex. But these servicers are easily another 1/4 to 1/2 point below me rate wise. And then also there is 0 closing costs that they charge. And then also they can move the current escrow account over. If you're not staying in a relationship with the client concierge process with your past clients, you are selling yourself complete baloney that you don't think you're going to lose business to these servicers come 2024 and 2025.
Oh yeah, they will. They'll take. Okay. So, kind of last kind of thoughts on this. Thanks for coming to chat with me again. It's awesome to see what you're doing and how you've been able to you made that shift and created this fantastic business and now support other people to try to do the same. So what would be your last sort of piece of advice for anybody listening that's listening to this right now?
Yeah. So what I'll be able to do is also, I'm going to send you the link. I've created a 100-point assessment for completely free. I want to give that as a free tool to everyone. Yep. So the 100-point assessment is to help you identify 100 gaps in your business but it helps you prioritize those gaps in your business so you can implement. Where I think loan officers, when you ask them, hey, do you have a business plan? They don't have a business plan because they don't know how to build a business plan. This teaches you what to build a business plan like. This teaches you how to get a relationship with a CPA, financial advisor, family will attorney, insurance agent. Teaches you how to be able to get in relationship with your database and stay in relationship. Completely free tool. It's 13 pages. And I want to give it away to your listeners.
Sure. You said, yeah, we'll have all this. You click on the show, we'll have all links for all this stuff. Wally, man, awesome to get to chat with you again. And it's exciting what you're doing.
Yeah, dude. Well, I'll say, I'd love to have you on my podcast whenever you're free, but we'll get some on the calendar. But I appreciate you caring enough to have me back on.
Yeah. Thanks, Wally.
You bet. Thank you.
Hey, thanks again for listening to this episode and my conversation with Wally. And I hope you feel inspired like I do, man. I love chatting with smart people like that who figured out not only how to build a great business, but to build a great life around it. And as I said at the beginning, if you're interested in finding out how you could work or learn more from Wally, so he's got a academy where 6-lane highway where he teaches you his whole model over a 12-month period. I've gone through it. It is freaking amazing. I've been coaching for 5+ years. And his stuff is awesome. I love it. It's practical and it actually helps you buy back your time with your business. If it's something you're interested in, there's going to be a link in the show notes below this. You can click and it's half price currently. So I'd go check that out and you can cancel anytime, but I don't think you're going to want to because it's a fantastic program. Check that out. And thanks again for listening to this episode.